Shri Mataji. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Blossoming Children. We are here today to continue our conversation about recollections of Shri Mataji and sharing her wisdom. We heard from so many people that, they wanted us to continue talking about times with Shri Mataji, things that she said, and it is the most joyful thing to do. So, very kindly, Felicity agreed to continue the recollections conversation that we started before. So, welcome, Felicity. I'm so happy you're here, and thank you for agreeing to continue the conversation.
Thank you for asking me.
Yes, it was so joyful. We can literally talk all day, and it brings joy to remember our times with Shri Mataji. So today we wanted to share this book, Raising Children in Sahaj Yoga. And this book has been in circulation, and you can find it in Sahaj stores. We used to have them in the Sahaj stalls when we would have seminars, but everything is paused. And so maybe there's a chance that that'll come back again. And before we start our conversation, we thought it would be nice to share a few words from Shri Mataji. And so she talked about faith. This is what she said about faith. Have faith in yourself. So the ego-oriented societies lose their faith. That's the way it happens, you see. What is very important thing is faith. They have no faith in their own parents. Now, on whom will you have faith? You don't have faith in your own children. Then in whom will you have your faith? That's a vicious circle we have made. First, the parents had no faith in their children, so the children have no faith in their parents. Where to cut it? Let us cut it at this point and see wherever we are, let us have faith in ourselves. This was given in 1978, the difference between East and West in Caxton Hall. And I think it's really important to start the conversation in recognizing that you have faith in yourself. The children that God has given you is not a mistake. The parent that you've become is not a mistake. Trust in yourself and, trust in your children. So, Felicity, what do you think about that? And would you like to add to that?
Yes, yes. Well, that makes me remember that when I first had my first child in Canada, and there were no other mothers, there wasn't Shri Mataji there, and it really taught me to trust myself, and that mother would give me advice and help me when I needed it, because there was really nobody else in Sahaj terms to support me. And so it was a very positive experience, because I learned by listening to mother and trusting. And if you have a problem and you don't know what to do, I would just pray, Mother, help me, please help me. And not always the answer came straight away, but you might be washing dishes or something, and suddenly, that's how to do this. So have a little patience with yourself, but trust yourself. Yes, you are a mother. Mother's giving you all the tools that you need to raise your child. And other people often will give you advice, but only you and Shri Mataji know your child. And so be confident. And if you feel you must do something a little different with your child, or not what other people suggest, it's okay. You know your child, and you learn to know your child.
I think that's it. I think children come into our life and they teach us how to parent them, and mothers and fathers. So I think faith is the key, and asking Shri Mataji for the help, because she will, if you really want help, she will send it to you. So
Yeah.
have faith in that as well. So would you like to share
Can
some
I
time?
just add,
Yeah,
to,
please.
and we don't always have all the answers straight away, and that's okay. And we should also, as you say, be prepared that the children will change us. It's a two-way street. And I remember Shri Mataji coming, us waiting to greet her at the airport, and she would always come through. Everyone would give flowers, and she would always be coming through. How are you? How are you? Looking at the children. Always she made time for the children. And at one time, she came towards me and said, "And how are you, Felicity?" And I said, "I'm good, Mother." And she says, "I knew the children would work it out." So you have to be prepared
Yeah.
that the children are going to make changes and challenge you in ways, and challenge your conditionings and your own ideas from your upbringing about what is right. And it's okay. It's not the child that's wrong. There's nothing wrong with your child. We just have to learn also different ways and be creative in managing the different personalities of these beautiful, born realized, very strong souls who've come to us.
This is true. This is true. Can you think of another time that you were with Shri Mataji? Would you like to share some more recollections, please?
So I was trying to think of a very pure, special experience, and the one that came to mind was that one time we went to Paris to take part in the Sasrara puja with Shri Mataji in 91, and we were all staying. So it was 81, sorry, 1981. So there was only about 30 of us. We traveled on a ferry across from England, and Marie was in France. And so there were a few of us, and as was custom at the time, we stayed with Shri Mataji in the flat. Shri Mataji stayed in the flat, in Marie's flat with us. And it was a very small one-bedroom apartment, little apartment, not a big living room. So we were all kind of squashed into this area. And it was, I mean, that was one of the most beautiful things about Shri Mataji, that everybody was always included. It didn't matter how cramped we were. She would always say, come in, move forward, so that everybody was welcome. And in this particular flat, there was just one bedroom and one little bathroom. And as a lady, we were very blessed because Shri Mataji would always at night have the ladies come and sleep on the floor in sleeping bags in the room with her, which was it was very special, and in such a small apartment like that, it's hard to put into words the strength of Mother's presence, of how elevated you became in her physical presence and within that, small confine. And while you were sleeping and she was sleeping, she would be working on you. So it was a really big, like, clear out for these seminar weekends. It was very powerful, and sometimes you could feel really uncomfortable because the strength of the vibrations just going so deep to clear yourself. And Shri Mataji had this incredible power to be able to generate more and more vibrations. So you would start at the beginning of the weekend, and you'd be feeling, oh yes, nice, and you could actually physically feel the strength of the building of the vibrations, especially as we were moving towards a puja. It was like she just, would generate these vibrations. And so there's two parts to the story. So I'll do this, I've gone into the other part first. So often in pujas, in those early years, as I said, Shri Mataji's being would be being praised and adored, and you're doing all these beautiful things, washing her feet. And the vibration, she would just, it's like a powerhouse. She would just start to be generating more and more vibrations. But she showed us that if we were not able to absorb all these vibrations, they would get stuck in her body, and she would get swelling sometimes. And she would ask us to come, and she would ask people to come and rub her feet, like really hard, rub her feet, or to put, so to put one hand on the chakra that had so many vibrations, and the other hand out, so you became a conduit. You're literally absorbing directly from mother's chakra, can you imagine? And you have your hand on her, and it's just flowing through you, and you just want to be thoughtless. There's no thought, please, mother, no thought, so that you're just literally an instrument for this energy. And so she would, often choose people who had a problem with that chakra, so they would get cleansed, and was a very beautiful experience. And so this particular weekend, there was just the one bathroom, and we were preparing for the puja, and there was a little line of ladies waiting to go in to use the bathroom. And I happened to be in the queue, and suddenly we heard Shri wants to use the bathroom. So of course we stepped back, mother went in, she was in for some time. You start to become very thoughtless, very timeless, in this situation, in mother's present. You're just literally flowing along. It's such an amazing feeling to let go of yourself, your life, your everything, and just be there in the present moment. And then after some time, she came out. And as she came out, she breezily said, "Oh, I've left the water in for you." I thought, what on earth does she mean? She's left the water in. And then we went in. There was like 3 or 4 of us. So we just went in together. And I realized, I saw that she'd left the bath water. She'd left the sink, the plugs were in, the water was in the sink. And so we're just sort of moving in this thoughtlessness. And I went towards the sink and just put my hands in the water and push it over my face. And I just was transported into this
Wow.
purity of being. It was like suddenly I felt like an angel, like you imagine an angel, just so
Wow.
clean and pure. And it was just like
Wow.
that.
Wow.
And so to understand how the water that has touched mother's body, how incredibly pure and powerful, this
Full of
her being
vibration.
is and the water is.
Yeah.
And so it makes you understand also the importance of mother's feet, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I would like to talk a little bit about how mother gave us the opportunity so many times to come to her feet. So she
Mm-hmm.
would be sitting in her chair, and we would, especially after puja, but other times too, we would be lined up waiting to go to mother's feet, and we would bow down, and you
Yeah.
put your fingertips just under her toes,
She used to lift them
and
up. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. She would lift
Yeah.
her toes and put
Yeah.
them down, and I learned, just don't think, no anxiety, nothing, just be
Yeah.
thoughtless. And then when it was the right time, she would lift her toes, and that
And
was the
she
time.
would bless us. She would always
Yeah.
say Anant Ashirwad. Yes.
May God bless you. She would
Yeah.
say, for me, to hear those words was so incredibly
Yeah.
special, that
Yeah.
here is God herself saying, may
Yeah.
God bless.
So yeah. So maybe she said, "May God bless you" in English, but for me, she always in Hindi said Anant Ashirwad, and it was the most amazing, hard to describe into words what you felt in that moment. You felt transported, you felt light, you felt amazing, and she was glowing, and you just couldn't stop enjoying the vibrations and the joy and the love.
And the beauty also was because, especially in those early years, I was not always in a very good state. We had so many things, all of us clearing out. And it didn't matter. Mother was still blessing you.
Yep.
She loved you. And I think that's important to remember. Sometimes we get caught up in feeling, I'm not a good mother, I'm not doing this. We make mistakes. Mother still loves you and she blesses you.
Yes.
And so at these times also, she would ask people to massage and rub her feet, because the power, the energy coming from her feet would cleanse us. And she when we were doing pujas in those early years, anybody who came who was new, who hadn't done puja, always she called them up. Oh, is there anyone here for the first time? Come, do puja, wash. And in those days, we literally were pouring the water on and washing mother's feet.
Yeah.
Was very hands-on. And so I've always kept in my heart the power and beauty and importance of mother's feet. And so early on with the children, we would start to have little pujas at home. Nothing, not a big thing necessarily, but to show the children the experience of washing mother's feet. And when we had the Sahaj school we had for a while, this was a very important part of the puja routine, was that all the children would come up and in a clockwise
Clockwise man.
clockwise
Mm-hmm.
manner
Mm-hmm.
wash mother's feet. And I always said, you should put the whole hand from the
Mhm.
Muladhara. So your whole, not just fingertips, put your whole
Right.
hand, put the whole thing, because this is mother's way of giving you that blessing and clearing. And at times, occasion, in times of big challenges, when you're just like, I don't know what to do, and you go and you take mother's picture of mother's feet, and I put the rose water on, and I've washed with both hands like that, it
Mhm.
respectfully, and you feel that power and
Right.
that energy coming in. So it's a very deep experience, and it was very important to Shri that we all had this experience, at least for the first time.
Yeah.
And so for children who are in such a pure state, to have that experience of just having the vibrations flow over them. So it
Yeah.
shouldn't be a ritual thing. It should be all these things that we teach the children, that we want the children to is to help them experience, make a connection with Shri on a deeper level, vibrationally, not
Yes.
by us telling them, but for them to actually feel it. And in that same way, we have to be sensitive that maybe they don't feel like doing it that day. And that's okay. And one of my children has a sort of reverse psychology that she practices, which works so well on her daughter, that she just says, "Oh, that's okay. You don't feel like it. It's all right. I'm going to do it. I just can't wait to feel mother's joyful vibrations in my heart. But you just said that's okay." And then within a few minutes, the daughter is saying, "Oh, but I want to feel that too." And
Well,
so
the other point I think is really important is when children do that, it actually clears them out. And
yes,
when children are engaged in offering a puja, so we've done it with our granddaughter here, and she loves it because she gets to do the kumkum. And the
yes,
other day, I was teaching her how to hold this finger and how the thumb had to work really hard and hold all the fingers down so this finger could do it. And the more she gets into, but also this, think about it, is helping them to settle their attention, is helping them to get focused, and they're involved and doing something. So she wiped it with the rose water and she did it. And after she did it, she said, the more I do it, the stronger this finger becomes. And then it knows what to do. Exactly. Then the finger even knows what to do, and your brain knows what to do. But
yes,
it's
yes,
coming from a place of love, and it's coming from a place of showing awe and showing, but you clear out, like the vibrations
yes,
dissolve
yes.
everything.
But this point that you're making about the interactiveness is so important with all the children, up to 12, in that I was telling you how my son, that one time I went to a birthday party. So the children were like 6 and under, and at the beginning of the party, after everyone had come and they're all enjoying, welcoming, they sat down and they all do little puja together. And his children, who'd been to Boroton, were being the pujaris. So they were calling
Mhm.
the other children up. Then when it was, to giving them the water, then giving them the flowers, and the vibrations were incredible. I was sitting on the sofa just going, oh my God, I feel like I've been in the puja. And then, of course, all their attention was settled. Everybody felt nice, and they were all so enjoying. Children love to be part of things and to be part of a puja. And when they were older and we started doing havans, when they were like 11, 12, 13, 14, and we started inviting them, what do you want to throw into the havan? Here, you come and do the ghee, you do so everything. It's just like learning to read and write, it's part of our life. So all the things that we do as adults, we
Yeah.
want to introduce and start with them when they're younger, because then it becomes
Yeah.
an automatic. It's something that they have already experienced. And then when they come to their teenage years, it's not something strange. This
Right.
is part of their life.
We did it in Dallas Collective. We had havans led by children. We had them help with the pujas. And those, I think, were the best vibrations because they are leading it and they are learning and they're enjoying it. And that's what gets them connected. You had also mentioned you'd created some kind of a playlist or something to help the children. Tell us
Oh,
about that.
so this came about with the grandchildren because we didn't have internet with my other children. But I felt very much, I want them, because Shumadaji isn't here now, how can I help them have a connection and feel different, um, and not feel different, but feel that mother is, part of them. And so I discovered that on YouTube especially, there were many little extracts, things like there's Shri Mataji at the airport in Melbourne, and she starts feeding biscuit to this little child, and then all the children are getting it. And so there's lots of little, you can start to make your own playlist. There's a very nice channel called Mother's Love, which someone has set up specifically for children, that has lots of videos, but particularly these ones like From the Supreme Source of Love, that one the Italians made, where Shri Mataji's got with the dogs, and there's the lamb, all these things. And you can see, and there's a lovely part of that one where Shri Mataji is arriving at Rome Ashram school and just
They're
hugging
kissing
all the
her,
children, just hugging the children,
Yeah.
And I think this is so important because Shri Mataji's talks were actually a very small part of the life we experienced with her. We traveled with her. She sat and she talked. The programs and the puja part, the talk before, was just a very small part, and that's just one aspect of her personality when she's giving a talk. So it's important that we and the children also experience mother laughing, mother enjoying music, mother cooking. There's videos of mother cooking, all
Mhm.
these other human aspects that she shared with us. And I think that helps. And we shouldn't underestimate the importance of the young children's experience. So my daughter, who's now in her 30s, was telling me just recently, she said, Mum, I remember everything growing up in Sajoga. I remember going to San Diego puja, and there was Shri Mataji on the stage. We were actually on the beach under tents having this Sri Buddha puja. And she said, I can feel it. She was 2.5. She was two and a
Wow.
half. And she
Wow.
said, I can feel that experience of being there and
Wow.
looking at Shri Mataji. And she said, people don't realize, they think, oh, she's only been inside yoga as an adult. She said, no, our life, we grew up and we had those experiences. So in the same way, for our children, that's what we want to do, is we want to expose them to these pure experiences in a joyful way, so
Yeah.
that goes into their kundalinis now,
Yeah.
you know.
The importance of early years, and the birth to 5 is 90% of the brain getting wired. So we are very intentional about wiring it for cognitive learning and social emotional. But what about spiritual? The
Yes,
same the same principle applies for that. If we do it as a family, so somebody was asking me, you're doing these videos, what are you learning from them? What are you taking away from them? And the thing that I'm taking away is the families that are doing it intentionally, the families that are doing it as a family, that this is important part of their family culture, their family way of raising, those kids are going to be okay. Those parents are going to be okay because you're clearing out on a regular basis. You're doing this practice, that meaningful practice of worshiping and remembering Srimataji and watching her videos and learning from her as a family unit. And so that's what I'm taking away. Every interview that I have, I learn something, but the common thread is that there's a strong desire to keep it
yes,
alive in the
yes,
family.
yes. And as you were just saying about watching mother's videos, the most a very beautiful part to watch with children is puja. So when you go on to the Amruta, you forward through the talk and you start the puja. And a lot of the pujas, especially in Kabbalah, there's so many children coming. And the children love to see other children going
Yes.
up and washing mother's feet. And there's more things now also where you can watch where the children are meditating together. Like in Rome and Boroton, they have a lot of online things so that they can feel that this is a normal thing. I'm
Right.
part of this.
Right.
I'm sure
Well,
we're out of time.
and again, we can continue the conversation. Um,
Can I
Please.
add one last thing to what you were saying about 0 to 5? So I felt this very strongly, that everything you do between 0 to 5 years, you are laying down the foundations of not just their behavioral and spiritual practice, but the relationship between you and your child. And when you put more time in to that, this is the most important time. You're laying down your patterns of behavior with the children. And then when they grow up older, like if you, in the book, Raising Children, Mother talks about the importance of talking with your children
Mhm.
and just having that open communication. And if you've prepared that and set that up, then when they get to be teenagers and they need someone to talk to, they
Mhm.
already trust you. They already have that sense that mummy can help, or at least if she can't help, she can, or daddy,
Yeah.
she can listen to me. Sometimes children, especially as teenagers, they need someone to listen to what is going on with them, and they may not take your advice, and that's fine. That doesn't matter. I felt as my children as teenagers, for me, what was most important was that they should feel that I trusted them. I trusted that they had Shri Mataji in them who was guiding them. And I would ask them, well, how do you feel about this? What do you want to do? So that you help them practice making decisions for themselves. And if they make a mistake and it doesn't work out, they're still at home for you to be supportive. And you can say, yeah, that didn't work. Sometimes you make a decision and you see that didn't work out, but it's part of a stepping stone. You go, okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else. And that was Shri approach to life. She would say, I can remember going up and take one last little story. I can remember in the early days, it was so new, everything was so new. And we were just trying to come up with ways that we could advertise programs and, get out there and give realization. And so there was no internet, you have to understand, it's just mail or telephone. So I got this idea in my meditation, let's make some little cards and put Shumanaji's photo and advertise and put them up in post offices. I mean, now this is sort of common practice, but well, we don't do that at all anymore.
Yeah,
But
no
anyway,
question.
yeah. So, but always wanted, is this a good idea? So we had this opportunity we were with Shumanaji, and I came up and was able to go up and say, had this idea, Shumanaji, what do you think? And I thought, she's going to give me advice. She's going to, and she just said, try it, just try it and see. And I went, okay, and that was her approach. Try it and see. And if it doesn't work out, okay, we'll try something different,
You
so
know,
be
so
spontaneous.
this is how Sahaj conversations happen, because this brings us like a full circle back to faith and trust, which is where we started with. So have faith in yourself, have faith in your children, have faith in Srimataji, trust that the guidance will come, trust yourself that you're doing a good job. And parenting is the hardest thing that we will ever do. Even as grandmothers, like Felicity and I are both grandmothers now, we can reflect on our life. And I still feel like could have, should have, would have. There is no could have,
It's
should
okay.
have, would
It's okay, because you can only learn through experience. And it's also important to realize, somebody was asking me this the other day, that as you have more children, you get more practice,
have. That's
you
right.
get more experience. They're different in their personalities, but the mothering part of it, I got to a point by my fourth child that I could pack a nappy bag, a diaper bag in 2 minutes. I just knew already, okay, this, and it's done. I could wash dishes without even thinking about it. But in the beginning, as a new mother, you're learning, everything is new. So it seems a much bigger thing. And I remember staying with Maureen Rossi, who just had her third child, and I had two children who were, they must have been like under 2 or 2.5, and I was feeling so challenged, and I said to her, how do you manage with 3? I've got 2. And she goes, it's just practice, and then you see that. So if you only have one child, I remember with my first thinking, oh my God, I only have one child. How do other people manage? I must be a really bad parent or something. And then we had a different one with a completely different personality that was very much easier. And I went, some kids come like this, So I guess keep a sense of humor. Don't beat yourself up.
Humor.
All
Yes,
in this together, just doing the best we can,
100%.
and
So,
and
yes.
that's we're just trying to be supportive and share things.
That's it.
As
That's it.
before you sign off, we were just going to say that in this book, which we will try to find out, it wasn't available for a while. We'll try to find out if it is being made again. But it's very beautifully made
Yes.
with lots of lovely, I'm not showing you, I was trying to show you, it's got lots of lovely photos, and
Yes.
it's organized chronologically, like from 0 to 5, advice from mother, then a little bit older advice, teenage years. So it's a very lovely book. But in the meantime, this was a soft copy of the original talks that mother gave, that we made into a booklet. That was what I used when I first had
I had
children.
that too. I
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's and we're going to make a copy of, this is the list of talks that Mataji gave, that all the information that went into this book is drawn from. So we're going to make a copy of these talks that you can then look for yourself. And I know it seems like, oh, when will I have time to read? But I have to say, this was like my Bible. And once I had read it, you absorb it into your being. And then when you need that bit of advice that was in there, it just pops into your head. Oh, I remember mother said this and that, you know? So it's,
Yeah. The way I used it was just flip open a page, and whatever I needed to read that day was what I read. So if you don't have time as a young parent of young kids, mom and dad, right? Just open it, have it near you. When you have a few minutes drinking a cup of tea, just look through it and you'll absorb it. And when you need it, it'll show up and it'll help you. So I think wrapping up words, uh, be great, have some grace for yourself, be kind for yourself, don't sit in the guilt space, you're doing the best and it's okay. There are no perfect parents.
enjoy and
Enjoy,
enjoy.
enjoy is the big part. There are no perfect parents, there are no perfect children, and the children we get are the children we're meant to get, and the parents we become are the parents we're meant to become. And it's a learning journey, it's not a destination, it's a journey. Enjoy the ride and have Srimataji in your heart, that she can guide you. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Show up for your children, be present for them, talk to them, be emotionally available for them, and guide their spiritual journey and enjoy it along the way. So, thank you, Felicity, for coming. Again, it has been a joy talking to you. I feel like we could do this all day.
I know, I know. Well, hopefully we picked out the nuggets and the things that will help people.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jai Shri Mataji. And
Deshimati. All our love to
well,
all of you parents out there. We're all in this together.
we're all in this together. And leave us a comment and let us know if you have certain topics that you would like to talk. This is an evolving journey, and it's really just surrender to Shri Mataji as she guides the conversation, as she guides the people. We are just grateful to continue. So thank you for subscribing. Many, many, many of you have. Thank you for doing that. Leave a comment. Let us know what else we should talk about. What did you like? What can we do better? We're learning. We're growing. All right. Bye for now. Jai Shri Mataji.
Deshimati.